Hello, today is Thursday, the 8th of November, and we are at the St. Andrew High School Museum, and we are pleased to have Miss Diana McCaulay as our guest. Miss McCaulay was a St. Andrew student. She has since been involved with the environment. She's the Chief Executive Officer and the founder of the Jamaica Environmental Trust. It's a non-profit organization. In addition to her interest in environmental work, Ms. McCaulay is also a writer, and we would like her to tell us about her years at St. Andrew High School. Hello, Dan. Why did you come to St. Andrew High School? There have been so many other high schools in Jamaica that girls would want to have attended, but there must have been a special reason why you decided to come.
I guess you'd have to ask my parents. I don't remember being involved in a decision to come here, but I was here from the junior school. So, you know, before high school I was here in the junior school, and then I moved into the high school and stayed here right through 5th form and then 6th form. But I don't remember anybody asking me which school I'd like to go to.
So in those days, was there a choice, and when you took the common entrance examination, there are usually 3 choices,
right,
and students would indicate the first, second, and third choice.
Well, I took common entrance while I was already here. I was one of those people that was right on the cusp when it was 11 plus, and I was only 10. So I was actually, throughout my school life, almost a year younger than other people. And I remember St. Andrew being one of the top choices, but again, I don't remember me being asked about it. I think it was different times. You know. But I was very happy here, and I regard my years at St. Andrew High School as formative. I think I had an excellent education there, which I didn't fully appreciate until much later when I left Jamaica. You know, to go away on work-related trips or study. So I really think I got a very good grounding here at St. Andrew High School.
One of my best friends, I met her at St. Andrew Prep School, and to this day we are still friends. It would be interesting to hear from you, your friends at St. Andrew, and what sort of impact they've had on your life.
My closest friend was a woman called Celia, Jr. We had an interest in horses, so we rode together. And she actually migrated right after we graduated. So she's never lived in Jamaica, but I've stayed in very close touch with her my entire life, and I would still call her my best friend, even though we haven't lived in the same country since we were 16 years old. Other close friends, Diana Dixon, she was a bit younger. Elaine Wint was my head girl. I think the nice thing about going to a place like Andrews and staying in a place like Jamaica is that you meet people that you went to school with, and although you might not have been close friends with them as an adult, somehow you have this shared history that goes back a very long way. You know? So I also treasure and value that. I have to say I remember the people I went to school with much more easily than I remember the people I met last week. So that's also interesting.
Tell me about the subjects that you did. Were there any favorite subjects that you had, or were there any subjects that you found very challenging?
Math. I was so bad at math, and the fact that I got an O level in math was like a miracle of the modern world, probably. I love English, language and literature. I love geography. So I tolerated history, and I did history at A level and failed it. But I really always loved reading. I love books. I love studying literature.
And perhaps that's the reason why you are now a writer, having had that grounding in literature and your love of reading. Yeah. I'm sure that must have influenced you.
I had very good English teachers. Miss Ellis, I think she got married and became Mrs. Darlington. She was a fantastic.
That's Norma Darlington.
Norma Darlington, yes, that's right. Of course, we hardly knew teachers' first names, you know. I would struggle to remember a lot of their first names. My geography teacher was Mrs. Brown, Diane Brown. She now was a writer of children's books, and she was formative as well. I had an earlier English teacher called Mrs. Backey, I think her name was. And I remember there was an essay I'd written that she really liked, and she encouraged me to write. So.
Do you think that your geography lessons might have influenced your decision to become involved with the environment?
I'm not sure about that. You know, when I went to school, there wasn't a lot of emphasis on women having careers. You know, it was a different time. You imagined that you would leave school and you would look for a husband. You know, but as a person, I always loved the outdoors, and that was what drew me in the end to my environmental work. It wasn't my first job leaving school. You know, my first job I was a secretary, because again, that was, you know, women were secretaries, they were nurses, they were maybe teachers. I mean, the most romantic thing that you could be for girls in my year was an airline stewardess. You know, that was just kind of the beginning. And I had thoughts about that because I really wanted to travel. But I ended up studying typing and shorthand, and my first job was a secretary. So I came to the environmental work quite a bit later.
It's interesting. What was your proudest moment at St. Andrew High School?
You know, I think both graduations. So then we used to have graduation at 5th form and graduation at 6th form. And I remember both of them. Very different to today, but I remember getting my diploma. I was part of the swim team, so I was the Cavellite sports captain for a while, and I remember those swim meets, you know, where our rival was Immaculate, and Immaculate always beat us. So, I mean, I remember a few races, winning a relay race particularly, but I think Andrews either came second or won, and I remember those moments with pride.
So at that time, St. Andrew had a swimming pool?
Yes, we did. Not for my whole school life. We got it sometime during, because I remember the swim team used to train at the YMCA, so we used to leave Andrews and walk along the road in a line to go and train there. But at some point, I don't remember exactly when, at some point during my time here, the swimming pool was built, and I used to come to school very early, about 7 o'clock, and we would train before school started.
Apart from swimming, were there any other sports you were involved with?
I did, but I was a very slow runner and a very poor high jumper. So I was sort of involved in outdoor activities, I would say. I played hockey for a little bit, netball for a little bit, but swimming was the only one that I could claim to have any talent at.
Okay. In our next session, we will be speaking about your decision in terms of